welcome to According to Courtney. Thank you for coming in and joining us today. On According to Courtney, what we do is I am a full spectrum doula, childbirth educator, and doula mentor. On According to Courtney, we sit and discuss about different things like maternal infant mortality, filling your cup, sex, and everything in between. Today, I am so honored to have such an amazing midwife to come in and speak with us, and a great author who's going to share her perspective of what it's like to be in the birth world. We have Miss Leona. So great to have you today.
It's so great to be here, Courtney. I'm so glad.
I'm so happy to have you. So, like I like to open up every show, I would love to know what's your name, where are you from, and what information do you want to bring into the space today?
Okay, so my name is Leona Nieta. Uh, my name in the book, the name my parents gave me, it's Irene Garzon. I'm from Spain. I live in Mexico now, and I've been a midwife for what 20 years, 21 years. And I've moved from thinking that midwives were the ones who help babies being born to just holding the space for what anything that will happen in the space. Now I'm much more broadening people's minds, helping midwives and doulas find their way. I've been studying uh, humanity since I can remember. So seeing where we come from, where we are at now, to see how we can move the direction of where we are going towards a kind place, towards happiness, towards love, towards where we were thousands of years ago.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I'm so glad and honored to have you in your space. So, Leona, you say that you've mentioned right off back that you're from Spain, and I would love for you to really like give some people some background on you and your story and what brought you to this place now.
Okay, so Spain is a very hurt country. Each country, of course, have their history. Spain had a civil war in just before the Second World War. That's the reason we didn't go to that war, is because we couldn't. And it divided the country in two halves, and the winners and the losers. Then from that war, we had a dictatorship that lasted like for what 50 years, 40 something. Uh, so we've had the Spanish society is a very divided society, but it's just two teams. So it's either this one or that one. And individuality, let's say, it's lost because that you have these ideas or that you were the one who was in that side doesn't mean that you have any other thing in common with these people,
Mm-hmm.
or that you don't have things in common with the other ones. Excuse me. So all that pain is there in any conversation, in anything. It's always, yeah. So I studied midwifery in Spain. My dad is an obstetrician. My mom is a literature teacher. So
Mm-hmm.
you can see why I ended up writing a book about birth. And so I grew around birth. And I remember when I was 12, and don't judge anyone on this, but there were other times, and my dad actually invited me to go and see a baby being born.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I am 12. I get invited to, of course, I'm going there.
Mm-hmm.
This was a time when women were completely anesthetized, like they had general anesthesia for a section.
Oh wow.
So I had spent what like all my life, like, oh, look at what my dad does. He was like the greatest person ever, like professionally speaking. And then, like the moment, like the scalpel touched the skin, I just left. It was just like, obviously, this is not. If somebody invites you to see a birth, this is not this is not what you expect at
Right.
all. So I left, and then they came to call me when they said, "Oh, the baby's about to be born," and I was just at the door. I saw the baby being born, and then the baby disappears, and my
Mm.
dad stays there with, for what me felt like, an empty corpse. And because obviously she was not there, she was completely anesthetized. It was just like an open container that the baby had been
Wow.
taken away, and the baby was taken away by the midwife. And then my dad said, "You want to go with her?" Just, I was like, "Of course." I mean, what a question! It's like, I thought my dad was the other one. I don't know. I mean, I knew he was a doctor, and but in that moment, it was just like, I found, like, I removed the and I found who I wanted to be. And then
Mm.
I was totally fascinated. I mean, and obviously the midwife was doing all the things that you should never do to a newborn. Like, she was washing the baby and combing the hair and removing the vernix and dressing the baby and putting perfume on. And I was just like, this is it. This is what I want to do. I have to say that I never did it. I've never done that to a baby.
Right.
But for me, it was like, this is it. This is what I'm doing. So I studied nursing in Spain, because you have to be a nurse to become a midwife. And
Okay.
then I went to the UK.
Mm.
The UK, compared with Spain, we really looked up to it, saying, "Oh, the way midwifery is developed, and the way they respect women and they respect their choices." And so I went to study there. Then obviously it wasn't as amazing as I thought it was. And yes, they do respect your choices
Mm-hmm.
if you know your choices, if you have things clear. Yeah, okay, they know the law, let's say, the British people. And if you, I don't know, say, "I am not having a cesarean section," they might try to convince you, but you'd end up signing something and you don't have a cesarean section. Like, you own your body. The last word in making a decision over your body, it's yours. That doesn't
Hmm.
That doesn't happen in Spain. In Spain, we've had more than one case where a woman has declined medical guidance,
Mm-hmm.
medical advice, and the police has been to her house to pick her up and take her to the hospital. And this has happened at
Wow.
least in two occasions that I know of.
So when that happens, that is absolutely, we always compare like what we go through here in America and our numbers are looking like a third world country. But to hear something like that is so disturbing. So who's able to make that call to force her to go in from?
It's so the obstetrician in charge feels
Mhm.
challenged, and they're not used to be challenged. It's been what I say. I mean, I've just told you, an obstetrician took a 12-year-old to a um,
A
surgical
cesarean,
clean
yes.
area, violating completely that woman's and that baby's space. So this is, we can do it, so we do it. So this
Mm.
doctor feels challenged. Then the doctor finds out. I mean, I remember one of the ladies, she was having the baby was breech,
Mhm.
and she went home because she wasn't in labor. I mean, she wanted at least to wait until she was in labor to have the cesarean section. So they feel challenged. Oh, she's doing something. They call a judge, and of course the judge, well, it's the same shit with a different thing on.
Right.
Remove the doctor's one and put the judge one on. So I've got an authority here who is telling me that this woman is misbehaving. And look at that. That woman, doctor is saying the baby is at risk, so this woman is crazy. So, of course, the judge was still, what do you need? I need you a police order to go and get that woman. So the judge gives them the order. This happens, and then obviously the woman denounces. Then the next, I don't know, like the local court
Mhm.
says, no, so sorry, the hospital and the judge did it right. So then it was to the higher, like the Spanish court.
Mhm.
And then again, of course, what are we talking about? A judge and a doctor against a crazy woman who doesn't know anything about her birth. And of course, they are the authority. But what happens? After going to the highest Spanish one, they go to I don't know, the United Nations.
Mhm.
And what does the United Nations says? Spain, you cannot do this. Hey, Spanish system, this is just completely wrong. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter. That baby is inside that woman. And if that baby is dying and the woman says, I want to leave the hospital, that's a human right. And they don't have that clear at all. So after fighting what I could, I just said, I'm so sorry. This is not something that I'm going to be able to sort out. And
Mhm.
I'm just going to get the hurt that these people have. So
Mhm.
I left the system. I left everything. I I unregistered. Well, after being in Spain, I went traveling. I work independently. Then I went to work again in the UK, and after working in a hospital, and I always say that, like, it feels like me working in a hospital is like a vegan in a slaughterhouse. It's just like, this is just, it doesn't work, it doesn't go together. This is just, I suffer every the moment I put my foot into the hospital until the moment I leave. So then I found a job in a university, and I said, that's it. Of course, maybe a hospital, yeah, but if I get to teach the next generation of midwives, I know, I like, I can see,
Mhm.
so I can help them see. But no, of course not. It was exactly the same crap, but just with a different hat. Again, as we said, like the doctor, now the judge. Now it's another part of the system where they just wanted us to teach them checklist midwifery. When they, when that woman leaves their care, like
Mhm.
they sell it to you like they're safe. No, they're safe. No, we are safe. Like if she comes back with, I don't know, death or an illness, that you have done all the checks. So that's what we've done. Whether she's going to have postnatal depression, whether she's going to love that baby, whether we just fucked up the moment where they meet, and that bonding, and that has nothing to do with checklist midwifery. The only thing
Mhm.
important is for the employer. It's, I want you to keep me and my business safe. So I said, that's it. I had enough. I don't want the system. I don't want to be part of this. I had a friend who, she's a midwife too. She helped a woman during her birth, because during COVID, like, home births were banned in the UK. And then she said, I'm actually going to have the baby at home. And can you please accompany me? And she did, as a friend, and the baby had a problem. And then she helped the baby. And then she had just like the whole midwifery system on her. On her,
Mhm.
she's a woman of color. And she says, like, white midwife, this doesn't happen to white midwives. But what I'm trying to say is, like, she is a very good friend of mine. What was happening to her was so unfair and so shit that I said, that's it. I just unregistered, dropped my registration after 20 years of being a registered midwife, and said, like, the system is not my way anymore. That's not the way I want to go. So I opened up a midwifery school, but the word midwife is so corrupted now, because now midwife is that person who has a paper, and that paper just means careful with me, because I've been there. I've been in the universities. I've been in two universities of one of the countries where midwifery is supposed to be best. Well, I'm telling you, the only way, it's out of the system. That's the only way. And I know that this is like for many people, whoo, this is so
Mm-hmm.
new. It's the only way. We are powerful women when they give birth, and well, you're a doula, and you know there's nothing greater. It's it's sacred what you are witnessing, and it was
Mm-hmm.
so powerful and so big that they tried to remove it from us, and that's what happens in the system. And the thing is, you go so happy to the system, you don't mind because I don't know. You're going to buy a house, then you find an architect. You go on holiday, you find a travel agency. You're pregnant. I don't know. You go to the hospital. You go to the and you trust, like you trust
Mm-hmm.
the architect or you trust the travel agent to do their job in your best interest. And then there you go. The moment you sign in, boom, 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 one after another until they completely remove the experience from you.
It's so
And then you
shocking
go,
to hear this
it's
from you because I've had lots of different, a couple of different midwives here from different ways of taking their midwifery journey. And it's interesting to say about how the system itself, over and over again, people who've been in the hospital situation have all kind of said the same thing of like how midwifery, how itself, and how you want to care for clients and patients, you can't. It's like the piece of what makes a midwife different from an OB, it's really that one-on-one care piece. And that's why many of us go into that journey of, okay, I can go into the hospital, I can go give this care. And even being from America and over here, we all talk about and dream about the perfect midwifery experience is over in the UK, where we're seen as equals, we're able to do this work and do it purposefully. But to hear from someone who's been in the system for 20 years and how traumatic was that? So let me ask you to go back into that. When you came into it with your training, was it like that? Was your training just like check boxes, or did you feel like there was still that hope a part of it? And do you think that has changed now that it's become more of a checkbox?
no, no,
Okay.
no. It was exactly the same. Obviously, it is me who has changed. It is me who has grown,
Mm-hmm.
and you're able to see. Obviously, compared to what I knew and what I had seen as a nurse in Spain, then yeah, there was a difference, and there was um, a caring aspect, a
Mm-hmm.
human aspect to it. Like midwives are amazing. Okay, I'm not saying that no, it's the system. And if
Mm-hmm.
you ask any midwife who has the paper, where did she dream herself to be when she first made the decision? I'm going to become a midwife. What did she see herself doing? It was definitely not what she's doing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's it. And they say, okay, but this is it. And now, I mean, I've got a loan to pay. That it's just the moment, like that woman who is pregnant and gets into the system, it's exactly the same conveyor belt that the midwife gets in. And then what happens? I've got my loan. It has taken me forever to get this paper that says I'm a midwife. I have suffered so much. I've witnessed so much violence and so much abuse. And then what happens? That I can see that there are other midwives, other carers, other women who actually didn't get in the conveyor belt, and they are doing the job that I dreamt of doing. They are
Mm-hmm.
actually doing going to women's houses and I don't know, having a drink with them while the other children play, and she comes with her own children, and she comes to a birth and she can't leave the child with somebody, and she comes with her. And this is okay because it's
Mm-hmm.
a human relationship. It's one human, the other human, the circumstances around each those two people, those two families, and and it's a huge difference. So after you've spent all that money, all that time, all that effort, all that abuse, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop because you're not happy, because the job that you have is you keep abusing others, and you were not there to abuse others, but you have to become strong. And how do you become strong against abuse? You can carry on being the victim, or you can go a little bit up the ladder and
Mm-hmm.
take the other role. And that's not on the midwife. That's again on the system. When you are abused and you cannot stop being abused, for you not to abuse others, it takes a lot of work and a lot of eye opening. So it is very complicated. And that's why we are, I don't know how to say it, revolting. This is the revolution. We are stepping out of the system. More and more and more women are starting to train as, you put a name, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Birth workers, doulas, healers, uh, midwives, you put the name, medicine women. Yeah, because, okay, I now understand. I can heal. I
Mm-hmm.
know I've got this power. I don't need somebody with a tie and a coat to tell me, yes, you are valid to do this. Because they're not telling you the truth. You are valid to work for the system. That's what the paper means. That's the only thing it means. And that's exactly what it means. You
Mm-hmm.
go and work for the system and suffer the system on you.
That's really powerful. And it gives people perspective on what type of midwives they want to choose into it. Because a lot of people, when I know from midwives I've spoken to, it's all usually the same. It's about empowering the family into birthing the way that they want to, being able to hold space for them, having them to have that intimate experience of bringing people together to birth with each other, women to women birthing together in a tribe, and knowing that the family is safe, that we're taking care of each other, and that community. That's what you always usually think about. And what does that community look like in the hospital, out of the hospital? And I love to hear you talk about what we would call a lot of times traditional midwifery, how midwifery really started in this country, especially in the South, where, enslaved women coming here from where they came from, bringing that the intimacy of this is how you birth, taking care of each other and having to do it as an economic system, which is very disturbing. And even moving into the antebellum period, these same enslaved midwives were now made to be nurses, teaching cesareans and having it done to them to teach on it. So it's very interesting to talk about the trauma of midwifery and where does that come from, and how in your country where it came from, and how what you saw, and then how again you see this over and over again, this trauma and pain and trauma of pain, when that's not what midwifery is. It's never was meant to be that. So I think that's very beautiful, that brings you to that now in this space of this is how I'm doing midwifery and this is how you're seeing midwifery. So now that you've moved into this different space and you have mentioned your midwifery school, tell us about that. What I know what brought you to that, but how are you set up so that when you're teaching?
So it happened during COVID. So it was all like a transformation, like feeling more trapped than I had already feel. It was just like the last, I say, straw that broke the camel's back. So it was, that's it. I need to leave this. We moved to Mexico in that time. We had to leave the UK. It was Brexit, just like before the COVID. It was just an unwelcoming place for us to stay. So I said, this is it. I'm going to develop a curriculum in what I believe in,
Mhm,
midwifery from the heart. I
mhm,
called it true midwifery. Um, and it was all about first healing the midwife,
mhm,
feeling the care, healing the carer. You cannot give yourself, you cannot hold the space if you are full of pain and full of hurt. And for that, we need to be seen. We need to
mhm,
be able to tell a story. And and it's like nobody cares. I remember, like, most women who come to my school, uh, they ask for, like, the what they need to be part of this school. They don't have this, they don't have that, or they do have this. You just need to want to be here. You just need to see if this is the right place for you. We
mhm,
need to talk about trauma. We need to talk about love. We need to talk about pain and pleasure. We need to talk about fear. We need to talk about the hormones, how they work, what happens, the sacredness of the moment, how we can spoil it. All these things that are so, so, so important. And they are not part of any midwifery curriculum, or of course, of not the most of like the systemic ones.
Right.
So this is the way to find like traditional schools, is just going for some that are completely outside of the system.
Mm-hmm.
And there are several in your in the States alone.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's beautiful to bring that up. It's just like, it's a different way of thought, because how many times have you gone to school and said, okay, so how do we heal ourselves first before we're putting hands on other people? So if you're taking this route of midwifery, just like the same, I know you guys probably go over HIPAA and everything else like that about how to take care of your clients and everything else, but you're talking about self and how does that transfer into birth? It's like, it sounds like you're teaching how to heal somebody while you're assisting them in their birthing process.
Absolutely. The well, the keys and the base is, and I think this is where how we are going to be able to move forward now. It was what, 10,000 years ago, when we live, like since the beginning of humanity until 10,000 years ago, we live in balance, in equilibrium, in equity. Women were this way, men were this way. They were different, and those differences, we just lived happily with it.
Mm-hmm.
Then we started farming, and then that's how the snowball effect started. It was that first snowball, and it started rolling, and that just came to, we were the the carers, the ones who talk, the ones who listen.
Mm-hmm.
The men went hunting, and we stayed looking after the elder, the younger, the sick, the children, the other mothers. We did the language, we did the caring, we did, they didn't, because the role was much more specific. They
Mm-hmm.
had to have one leader who would actually be the one that everybody had to be uh, looking at, so you didn't
Mm-hmm.
make noise, so you didn't lose the prey, so the prey didn't kill one of you. It was very, very specific what they did. So we were the heart of the community. Man just needed to be silent and be strong, and well, I guess more things, but I'm trying to go towards the women.
I understand. I understand. I understand. It's like we're not denouncing you that you're not important, but we didn't
Absolutely,
need
that's what I'm
you.
trying to say.
Right,
I
but
was
we
just
didn't
trying
need
to
you in the
establish.
business. Like you weren't in the
Absolutely,
business of the birthing. You weren't in the business of the nurturing. And it's not that we didn't want you there. That's just not the need. The need was I need you to go get this meat. I need you to go hunt. I need you to go do this because I am carrying this.
absolutely, absolutely. So then, when we started farming, and then we started having animals, so there's no more need for hunt. And then the men, obviously, then just what are they going to do? Nothing. No, their role needs to be fulfilled. So how was it fulfilled? They took over. They took over. So now, obviously, we start farming, so we have more than we should, so we are going to sell it. So she stays at home, and they are the ones who start having those relationships that they didn't
Mm-hmm.
before. So we have come to the point where uh, everything has been dealt by the male structure,
Right.
that hierarchy with one person at the top, and the relevance of importance, and the one we all have to look up, and that's the one who tell us how we need to do things. But we don't do that. We
Mm-hmm.
are in a circle, we are all equal, we listen to anyone who has something to say, whether she's old or young. We work like this. But what happens in midwifery? The structure is exactly the same than the rest
Mm-hmm.
of the areas, but it's all women, or 99.9% women.
Right.
Women for women at the same time. So we are working with a hierarchical structure that doesn't work for us, because we are not bosses. We are not used to do that. We are used to be in a circle and talk to each other.
Mm-hmm. I think
This
that's
is
very
what has
important.
happened. That's why everybody is so hurt. And you cannot, in this structure, it's like, okay, we are actually hunting and we don't hunt. So
Mm-hmm.
we are like, no, but that one is not there. I can see her. I can see, I don't know her. But the other one is making noise. And that's what we're doing. It's like, because we don't hunt. We don't stay down and wait for somebody to tell us what to do. Yes, we've been doing that for 10,000 years.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that at cellular level, what we have, like the womanness inside
Mm-hmm.
of us, that's still intact. So it doesn't work. It's not because we teach you a men structure, then you're going to thrive in a men structure. But the
Mm-hmm.
same thing happens to men. They don't thrive here either because, yes, they're the privileged ones here, but still they're unhappy. They're unhappy because there's such an imbalance. Everybody wants to be happy, and you want your people around you to be happy. You don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm so happy up here. Look how bad the others are.
That's true.
And this is everybody's good at heart.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the conflict comes. We are so hurt that sometimes we can't even hear love, and we just attack. And I don't know, you're coming with love, but I'm not ready to even get it. I'm so hurt that I just have fear to give. That's my
Mm-hmm.
only reaction. So I'm
No matter what you think about me, you can't stop me. I work harder, it's my life. Oh yeah, I'm on a job, I'm out here grinding. You can't stop me. I work harder, it's my life. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I see them haters on my back, but I'm staying right on track. Could care less what you feel, what you might do. See my blessings day by day, secret sources that I pray. In the image of the greatest, God will show you. You should stop, you should quit. Don't have money to do it. That's what people always say to me. I pray for
So understanding this balance between love and fear, it's is of paramount importance for this paradigm change.
I completely agree with you. See it a lot in like in the system when you're dealing with birth, and just as a space of a doula and you're dealing with your client, it's always that love and fear, that love of excitement of having your baby, but the fear of the system, fear of what's going to happen, the fear of that, and how fear can take over. And I think that's a very good segue to your book, which is I started reading, and it is definitely amazing about those spaces of what fear really does in the system when it comes to birth. And I would love for us to go in and like tell us about the title of your book and why you chose to write it.
Ooh, why I chose to write it? It just wrote itself.
Mhm.
It's as I told you, I had that literature writer blood, I don't know, in me,
Yeah.
and I've always been very good at telling stories.
Mhm.
Before social media, when I was studying midwifery, I remember I sent an email to all my friends. I was diary of a student midwife, and I would just tell them my life, and then I just started having this idea: is if every woman that I speak with, I tell them this is going to happen. Now you're going to go home, and you're going to your whole world is going to crash down, and it's going to be okay, but you need to ask for help. Like really opening their eyes and not saying, okay, just go back home and I'll see you in 6 weeks. But hey, this is going to be hard, and you're going to have feelings for your mother that you're not going to have for your mother-in-law, and you're going to have feelings for the father of your child that you're going to be don't even touch my baby. And this is
Mhm.
important that they know. So seeing that I could make a difference to each of the women that I was looking after, and sending them home and giving them this talk with the partner next to them so they could actually understand all the process and how this was normal. I said, okay, it is the time that I don't know, I can press play to this knowledge that I have, so that I can actually, or people can just have the whole knowledge without having me to look after them, let's say.
Mhm.
So I just started writing the central story of the book, that it's in a busy labor ward in Spanish hospital, and then the rest of the stories started appearing. So my main idea was to show, like, if you are actually inside a hospital with all the, I don't know, power battles between
Mhm.
the staff and the doctors and the midwives and the nurses and the women and the families who came there, the different scenarios when I don't know, citing an epidural, why is it good, why is it not, how the person can be abusive and the woman just shuts down because he makes her little. And then, I don't know, it all of a sudden I said, no, I have to, on top of that, go individually to these pregnant women. So
Mhm.
there are like 7, 8 pregnant women who start to find out that they're pregnant at the same time, each one of them with a different story. So there is like two childhood best friends who are pregnant at the same time, and they are married to siblings, so a brother and a sister.
Mhm.
Uh, so obviously, one of them is a couple of lesbians, and the other one is a straight couple. The different perspectives of how they see birth, how, I don't know, one couple is more open, the other is more closed, because obviously they're family and they're going to have conversations in the
Mhm.
book that you are going to see the different parts. So then there is like a heavy smoker and how she's pregnant, and how do I do this? Anyone who is suffering with addiction, and you
Mhm.
know how huge the system comes to tell you you're a bad mother and you're horrible and look what you're doing. There is a teenager, there is an escort, there is a woman who has had a previous very, very painful obstetric history. There is a woman who chooses to give birth on her own terms with no man, and so it is just each one of these women that go to this hospital. There is this doctor who runs the clinic, who is a misogynistic, sexist, racist. I mean, he has it all. And then you have these women going to his clinic, the one who's lost the baby, the one who, the lesbians, the one who, to to show the world, to say, hey, I mean, the book is beautiful. You don't need to to what? I mean, uh, a friend that I've got that is gay said it's the I don't want children, I don't like children, and it's the best book I've read. I mean, it's really interesting. You start and you don't stop because the stories are really, really catching. And that was the idea, because
Mhm.
I want you to enjoy. I don't want you to put it down until you've listened to everything I had to tell you.
Right. It definitely is very, it catches your attention. And I was reading it over the last couple of days. And what I love about it is the humanity of how real it is, because you are getting all the perspectives and how different perspectives really transfer to the birthers. In the beginning, they had a client who is a heavier set woman giving birth, and that they're going to give her, they're taking bets that she's going to need a C-section. She's just there to be induced, and it's her first baby. And just the difference of what it sets up from the back end of before you were even talking to her, she's the worst person ever. She doesn't know anything. It's okay. She's overweight. She's fat. She's going to be a C-section. She's a waste of time. And then setting that in from a change of shift. And that you see that all the time in real life when you're in a birth, you can tell, do a report, what was said about you. And so how they show up, and how her asking questions and being fearful, and how the midwife's like, I'm going to have the doctor come in here, and just not having any care with even, doing a check on her body, to a person who was foreign, that they're calling her Chinese, but she only speaks Spanish, and that it's okay to violate her rights. Like, they wouldn't get her an interpreter or give her an epidural, but it's okay to give her a C-section, because we could always say that it's an emergency, and having students there, and that is what is being taught, because that's real life. But
I've seen it all, Courtney. I've seen it all, and and you've asked me, and people ask me, are these real stories? And is, of course. I mean, I haven't written them from a real person,
right.
but they are. They are. Of course, they are. Every time I've been promoting the book and just having a read, I've met all the characters of my book. They've come to me. I'm Elena. I'm Sarah. This happened to me. Except, no, it happened worse, because obviously reality is worse than fiction. And I write a story, and I try to put all the versions, and I try to put the horrible person, give her some kindness,
Yeah.
because we are not all horrible, and we are all not all kind. We have our yin and yang, and for example, one of the things that I found that it was really important, there is one midwife that is like that midwife that you just don't want to touch, even with the stick.
Yes.
But she is the midwife I've chosen to care for the couple who has to give birth a dead baby. And she does it impeccably. And you can hear her thoughts and saying, like, oh shit, she's going to give birth on me. Well, because that happens to nobody wants to birth a dead baby if you can accompany a live baby being born. And no, I don't want to say nobody wants. Yes, I do want, and I know that I'm in there. But that thought that, okay, this wasn't for me. My shift finishes, and this woman is not going to give birth, or yeah, it is going to happen before I go. Those internal thoughts of, yeah, I've got this trauma, I've got this pain, but look, in this part, I've healed, and I
Yes.
know perfectly where is my place here. I have no idea where my place is with women who are having a live baby, because I've been trained to abuse them. But
Mhm.
okay, now we're talking about death. It's much easier to crack you open with death and pain than to crack you open with routinary joy. So it's how do I say? Um, Even, I mean, like, there is a story of a baby that is given for adoption, and the mother is has been consuming cocaine like whole pregnancy, and the judgment on that mother, and all that it is. But then you listen to that mother too, because that mother has a life, that mother has friends, that mother had, I don't know, a whole tremendous hole to get pregnant and keep doing that and keep drink. So it is so important to see from others' perspectives.
I think that's like my favorite thing about the book is that it gives you humanity of what it is, because everybody, there's all, we hear all different type of tragic birth stories, amazing birth stories, everything, but we forget that everyone is human. Everybody
Absolutely.
has a place to play in it. And I think that's very important that you did bring up that midwife, because I know exactly which one you're talking about. I'm like, oh, she is so ugly acting. She's so jaded. She's so, and how I read it, it's like, wow, the system really broke you. The system really harmed you, that this is routine, even in her directions of how she speaks to people. Like, she cracks your joy from the beginning so that you understand your place. But it's also, it comes from that generation of tough love. It's like, yes, I'm breaking you, but guess what? The system's going to break you anyway. This is your first into it crack. Now you're a mother. You're broken
Absolutely.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me break you. And but that was her role. I'm here to break you and let you understand motherhood is nothing but breaking you, which is very interesting, and actually a thought process that a lot of people have, versus having the other midwife who has the parents who are empowered and loving and doing it their way, and showing you can do both. You can make the difference of someone getting an epidural and doing everything just based off what you say and how you come up there, but to also hear about that midwife who is, we call her trifling and awful and other expense, be able to hold space for death. And you make something very clear. With you as a birth worker or someone who's, enamored with birth, people get stuck on the birth. They're like, oh my God, birth. And they think birth as in live. It's not always true. With
Absolutely.
being a midwife, you have to deal with all the aspects and dealing with death and holding space for death. And again, and being able to do that and to see someone that broken be able to be soft and to be gentle and to be loving and to be nurturing shows the humanity that we all have. And I feel like in birth, we forget that. And a lot of times in the system, we forget that we're all human. Even the people that are harming you, they're human too. And they didn't get here from just, I'm waking up today and I decided I'm going to be, Nurse Ratchet and be the worst, meanest, nastiest thing out there. It's that the system has made people like this and they're just surviving, and they're actually trying to do their lessons. And, that's what I really enjoyed about this book, is everyone's teaching you a lesson from their perspective, even from the
Totally.
clients, even from the patients. This is your perspective of life. And this is how I got here, good, bad, or indifferent. I might not have chosen to get here, or I did everything in my power to get here, but in how people show up in my life and help write my story. And I think anyone who's like considering doing midwifery, period, should read this so you understand what it is and who you want to be and what you're comfortable with it. I am a big advocate for all different types of, for my nurse practitioner midwives, for my traditional midwives. I think that either way you take in a road in there, you should be able to come back to a book like this and be like, hmm, are you ready for what it really comes with? Even if you're private practice and you're doing your home births and everything else and birth center births, you're still dealing with society and dealing with the traumas of where these people have come from. They're coming to you to be healed, but also understanding broken people do broken things. And what are you going to do when you get these broken woman who's been harmed by the system, who has no trust, coming to you and say, hey, I need to have a baby? You, the midwife, have to unpack all of that in sometimes a very short period of time. It depends on when you get your client. And then again, the system says, cut them loose. All right, you had your baby. All right. So
That's
all
it.
that
That's
trauma
it.
we just worked on, great, we worked on it, but you don't belong to me anymore. Good luck.
Mhm.
And that's a lot to process too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Every single person in the world tries their absolute best. And
Mhm.
this has taken me a long time to understand. But see yourself, look at yourself at your lowest. That time when, oh shit, yes, I was really, really low, and you did that thing.
Right.
Well, it was actually the best you could do. And yes, it was that crap, but that's the best you could do. So when you are with someone who is in a really, really horrible place, that's the best they can do. And I think this is key for you to be able to detach yourself. This is not personal. It has nothing to do with
Mhm.
you. It has to do with that person who is being triggered and is now going back to, I don't know, when she was 5, 9 years old, whenever that trauma happened. But each one of us, even a psychopath, tries their best.
Whatever their
That
best looks like. Right,
exactly,
right, right. And I
exactly.
and I think that's really important. And I love that you brought that into the space. That I think we all, for humanity purposes, even for if you are not a birth worker, but you're someone who's planning to give birth, to keep that in the back of your mind is that your birth is very personal. This is your personal experience, but you also have to take out to the fact that people around you are having their lived experience. And when you're reading this book and then you're in those situations, it kind of reminds you, I know as a doula, that's what we're taught to do. Click out of it. This is, you have to make the person see their humanity and remind them it's not about you right now. I understand you're in your life. I can see that you're triggered right now. I can see, especially, you get doctors who feel like the God complex is coming. And who are you as a birth worker or as an advocate, as a parent, as a mother giving birth to challenge me? And having that reminder of, hey, how are you? I understand you're feeling triggered right now. You feel like I'm trying to make you less than. I'm not. I'm trying to understand. Let's have humanity with each other. And
Absolutely.
I feel like that is the main thing to what I take away from this book is that to see the humanity in the next person and to remind other people to see the humanity in you and then you to see the humanity in others. So you know how to move in this birth realm and circle. And then that turns into a life lesson of where is your humanity? How do you stand in your humanity? And I'm so glad you wrote this book. And again, I know I asked in the beginning, but I don't think we caught it. What is the title of this book? How do people get your book? And how do people be able to reach out to you for your midwifery school?
Okay. So let's wait a moment. I need to plug in my computer.
No
I'll
problem.
just one second.
No problem.
Now, yeah. Is it okay if I read a few pages? So
Sure, that's fine.
yeah, okay. So I think it's going to be easier. So the book is called "The Womb Emptying Society."
Hmm.
I know it's not the most beautiful uh, title for a birth novel that, but I'm warning you. I'm warning you about what you're going to read. I don't want you to, I don't know, look for something like what to expect when you're expecting, and then you find this. I'm
Right,
actually want you to, okay, yeah, this might be a little bit challenging. This might be eye opening, and
right.
this is what I. So I'm going to read you a little bit, see if my cough allows me,
Okay.
and and then you'll know why that's the title. Marta, Cande, and Celia are in the staff room. Cande is brewing coffee. Anna comes in and turns the TV on. On screen, there's a famous Spanish singer with her baby in her arms, typically posing at the door of a private clinic after having her baby. She's already given birth? Asks Cande. Looks like it, replies Marta. Give birth, my ass, replies Anna. C-section, I bet my life. They all do, these celebrities. Just look at her. She can't even move. There's a silence as all of them look at the screen and listen. The baby's a boy and he weighed 3 kilos. He was born by C-section last Monday morning. Both mother and son are in perfect state. You have to be daft to let them do that to you, Candace says. Do they really think it's the best for their babies? Does anyone in their right mind really believe that a C-section is better than a vaginal birth? It depends on who for, Marta replies. I know some who at the first chance do a C-section before because it's the best for them. Yeah, well, you're right, but that's the lazy and unscrupulous doctor. I don't deny that they exist, who gets rid of a woman by sectioning her the minute he has the chance to, just to have a quiet night. But that's not the case here. The obstetricians of the celebrities don't do it in order not to be woken up at 3 a.m. They do it for other reasons, which are also very clear to me. What I don't get is what makes a woman believe that a C-section is better than a vaginal birth. To her, who is suffering it on her own flesh, how do they sell it to her that a cat in her belly is better than what nature intended? Are they all stupid? I don't think they're stupid, replies Marta. I think they're victims, as are all the women who, for some reason or another, have an unnecessarian. These ones are more the victims yet, adds Celia, pointing with her chin towards the TV, because they are completely used by the private hospitals. As they're famous, the reputation of whoever does the C-section will soar like a rocket. Can you imagine one of these doctors saying at a press conference, there's nothing to tell, we just let nature follow its course and this is the result? Oh, and as doctors only act when things deviate from normality, here is the real expert in normal birth, the midwife who was with them. She says, taking Marta by the arm, who states the hypothetical situation. No, 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 please don't take photos of me. All the merits on the mother and the baby. I just did my job giving them what they needed. Girl, for the one time in your lifetime that you are at the birth of a celebrity, promote yourself, direct her pushes, do an episiotomy, or say you gave the baby a bottle because the mother was too tired to breastfeed. Well, there's the crux of the matter in what you just said, says Celia, pointing towards Skander. What professional, presented with such a chance to get recognized, would say the merit is not theirs, that they were just there? Or in the case of a doctor, that he didn't even enter the room because it was not necessary? Believe it or not, the least important in this case are the woman and that baby. So that's why I'm asking you again, because I don't get it. If the fact that C-section is harmful for both mother and baby is a proven thing, and it is also proven that the baby needs, says Candy, stressing the word, the mother births hormones for the correct emotional development. If there is no real benefit for birthing and being born by C-section, but all the opposite, how do you convince a woman that she must go through an operation when there is a much better alternative? By turning things over, by lying to her. You sell her birth as something bad, full of possible things that can go wrong, dirty, for poor people. Your baby coming out of your vagina is for riffraff. You tell her that a C-section is much better, that she can choose the date, that she won't have to wait until the 40th week, that this way her skin won't stretch anymore in the last weeks. What nonsense! That you won't go through labor pains, she keeps on enumerating. No, you just go through a much more painful recovery period for weeks when you won't be able to hold your baby or laugh, adds Candy. Hey, I'm already counting the things that they say to convince them. I don't agree with them, Anna complains, and she goes on with her sequence. Seeing it that way, and they believe all that, Candy inquires. Well, see, there's your answer. They all end up with a C-section. The princess, the singer, the model, the football player's wife. So it's just because it's very long and I'm aware of the time.
That's a lie, but it's so honest because it's so true. You don't until, very recently. I know growing up, all you heard of anyone famous, everyone had a C-section. Nobody had these natural births. The first natural birth I remember hearing about, on television was Ricky Lake. I had, I thought it was very strange because how I grew up, I was born from a midwife. So I thought everybody went to the midwife or they went to the hospital. But in my culture, you saw more Black and brown people going to the hospitals because there wasn't any midwives that looked like them. So if there was a midwife, it was white midwife, and she may treat you just as much of like garbage as the hospital do. So you're like, well, I'm gonna take my chances, and at least at the hospital, you're taught that that's where you're supposed to go. So it's very interesting to have this conversation and have them have, because it doesn't make any sense. Why are we pushing something that is not needed? It's like we're going to major abdominal surgery, and that you have put this pretty bow on it, that people are choosing to go through major abdominal surgery. We're not talking about the postpartum. We're not talking about anything. All you see is this baby, and then this person held up saying, look what I did. Not about that she can't really walk. She's in so much pain that if she coughs, she's going to bleed. It's like, it's so crazy versus letting the body do it naturally does. And until very recently, even breastfeeding, we wouldn't see people breastfeeding because we thought that was disgusting. And then only poor people do that. The luxury thing is to have the bottles until, you have an outbreak where you don't have any formula. So
Totally.
I love this book because it does give you that real. And I love that you also say that, this is not a, fluffy read. This is a real read. So that if you're really walking into this spaces, that you understand the thought process of the people who are taking care of you, that they're a lot of times doing what they're told to do, not that they agree to do it, but this is the way that it is. So therefore you yourself can make the change. So I love that. I know we're getting close to our time, and I just want to know, is there anything else you would like to leave in this space? Like if people want to get your book, how do they get it?
Okay, so I'm traveling to the States tomorrow.
Yes.
And I'm taking a few copies with me, and I'm offering you to have a dedicated copy. I will go there, I will get the book, I will get my beautiful pen that I've bought for this occasion. I will listen to your story, like if this is, I don't know, a partner or a friend who wants to give the book to somebody else, and I will dedicate it some beautiful words, and I'll go to the post office and I send it to you. So of course this is just a few copies because I've already, most of them have been booked already.
Great.
But I still have a few. So if somebody would like the dedicated copy, just find me. I'm truemidwifery.co.uk. I'm Mujer Medicina in Facebook. I don't know. Ask Courtney how to find me, and you can find, and she can give you my email. But the book, the book is on Amazon. So you without obviously the dedication, but if you want the book, you have it on Kindle, you have it on paper copy. And what else? I'm just going to read one last bit, okay, if that's okay. And it's just a doctor who comes into the room when they're discussing this about the celebrities and why, and then so one asks, so why don't they get more information? Why don't women find out more? Because many of them have studied. They're people who can find that information. And he says, right, but I can't think of anyone more vulnerable than they are. If they sell you the best professionals in the country, it's normal to have blind confidence in them. If they tell you that the best for you is a C-section because you can fit it in your husband's agenda for your convenience, because your pregnancy will be shorter, because, well, it's the same. You know as well as I do what the things that they tell them to sell them the C-section. They will be convinced that they will be better treated than anybody else just for being who they are. The worst thing is that that's just the tip of the iceberg. Celia laments. What do you mean? Asks Cande. I mean, if they do elective C-sections to celebrities, the rich will also come asking for them. And then the rest of society will demand C-sections too, and will claim them as an option, not just as an emergency solution. And this lousy patriarchal society we have, instead of advancing towards equality, will go farther and farther away from it. And women will get C-sections they think they have freely chosen. But the thing is, if you don't know your options, you don't have any. I
Mm.
read a quote from Gloria Lemay, a Canadian midwife, not long ago, which said that roses open each one at its own time, and nobody would think of forcing a bud open because we all know we'd destroy it. However, that's what we do into babies because we think we're gods, because we don't know that birthing that way, forcing births that way, will have dire consequences in their future life. And when we all know about those consequences, there will have passed decades in which babies will have been extracted from their mothers, who will have been deprived of one of the most joyful moments in their lives. And this is such an aberration and will have such an impact in the future that we will come to be remembered in posterity as the society that emptied wombs, the
Mm.
society that forced their most precious buds open.
Wow. Thank you. That's so true. And we are seeing it time and time again, here in the States, you have Black and brown women dying 4 to 5 times the rate of their white counterparts. And it's that forcing, we're going to force you to do. Is what we say, not what's best for you, not what's best for the baby, is what the patriarchal society of, obstetrician says. This is what you're going to do. And having
And
to
we've been
fall.
silent so much, and
Mhm.
you have been silent more than me in our skin color, but we all have been silent. And the reason why more black and brown women die is because you've been silent so much that when it hurts and when you're dying, you can't even say. You're scared to say because they're not going to listen. That's it. You're moaning. I remember working, and I know what they say about black women, what they say about Chinese women, what Arab women. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
It's something that is not true. It's something to keep you down again, to keep you quiet, to keep you where I want you. And that's the reason why you die more, because you have been quieted more than we have. And
Mhm.
it's so, so, so wrong that we must stop this now. And there is a way. There is a way. Come and find me. Come and find me. I know the way. Come
Mhm.
and find me.
So I'm so glad that we are able to have you here and you to help share space with us, share your knowledge and your wisdom with us and your perspective with us, and to really give an eye-opening, account of what really is, and then taking this time to write this book and to give that perspective that's really needed, that people really know what is out here. And then the most important part is that you don't have to do it that way. There is other options. There is that community, that real genuine love still exists in the birthing process,
Mhm.
and it's just about how to find it.
I'm going to tell you just one last thing because yesterday I just had the most beautiful, beautiful story. Every time, like my next true midwifery course starts next April.
Mhm.
So now it's the early bird session until the end of the year. So if that would be the time to come and talk to me if you say like, oh, I want to do that, I want to study what this woman is talking about. Yeah, come and talk to me. So I had an interview with a woman who wants to start the course, and she has been the first one in the three and a half years that I've been running this school that she has put herself first. And when I ask her, why do you want to do this course? Is because I want to be a mother, because I'm going to get pregnant soon and I need to know all this. I'm doing this for myself. And then she said, and then I will look after others. But she's been the first. We are so full of love that our thing is to give. And why do I want to do this? Because I want to help women, because I want to
Mhm.
heal the world, because I want to help the babies, and because she was the first who says, because I'm doing this for me.
I
And
love
I
that.
just made me feel so, so good. I actually told her, it's like, thank you, thank you, thank you for telling me this, because that's it. We have to put ourselves first. You are the most important person in the world. Each one of us, you are the most important person in the world. It's not your child, it's not your baby, it is you. I've got three daughters, and I'm learning so much because the gap between the older two and this one is quite big. And we learn from example. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter how much I tell my daughters, you put yourself first, you put yourself first, you put yourself first. When we come from outside and it's really hot, and one of them goes to the toilet and the other one goes and takes off her shoes, and I'm pouring myself a glass of water, and the moment I'm going to drink it, both of them want to have my glass of water. I'm so sorry. I'm drinking the water. You chose the toilet. You chose taking off your shoes. I chose the water, and I am choosing me. You can wait and until after me. You can pour yourself your own glass of water. This is super important. And uh, um, this lesson has been taught to me by my youngest, because I was
Mm.
talking about the other two. So I just want to bring her in here. Always, always put yourself first.
I love that. And I feel like that's the best way to really, close out for today is to remember to put yourself first. Drink your glass of water first, and then allow them to pour their own. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom with us. And to my viewers, thank you for coming to According to Courtney. Love yourself. Pour into yourself. You are important. You are needed. And thank you for being a part of our journey. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Thank you. Thank you. I'm full of love. This has been a beautiful, beautiful time.
Thank you. So we're done with the recording part of it. I just want to tell you thank you so much. She's going to do all the editing.